problem that also the business struggles with is the IT backlog. You know, we, no matter where client we're at or in our company, we are not sitting in our basement waiting. You know, we have years worth of work piled up to do it. How do you communicate with the business that that's great, September 23rd is far enough away, I can make your button blue by now, but I've got 19 other things that you told me you wanted first, to start that process of prioritization, or most often reprioritization, because you set it at the beginning of the year, you got your budget for what you're going to do, but it's that new thing you want to put on top has to kick something down. Rob.
Go ahead. I mean, where I would start are the business goals. What are the goals for the year? And whatever this ask is, how does it stack up against those goals? You know, if it's top priority, then okay, let's talk about reprioritizing stuff. But if it's, you know, number 40 out of a list of 50, then we have to have a conversation. Why are we focusing on this now? Because we've got all of these other things that we need to pay attention to first. So I mean, that's where I would start.
And I would manipulate that based on percentages of resources. I would look at it from, kind of what we're doing on one of our projects today, where we have project resources and we have backlog resources, right? And whether that is a 50-50 split or a 70-30 split or an 80-20 split, that's where the prioritization part comes in. Because at some point, we need to continually knock down the items on the backlog. And yes, we need to communicate to the business so they understand, what's in there, how much is in there, and how quickly we're actually burning through it. But we can't stop on it just to be able to focus on 100% on project work. Somebody's always going to have to be paying attention to that backlog and whittling it down, keeping it manageable so it just doesn't grow out of hand.
Well, you opened a huge can of worms, because having that where we're working now, we have a dedicated backlog team that we fought for last year, that their only job is keeping that backlog moving in the right direction because it's big and it's a problem. Most organizations haven't reached that level of maturity, and it's more of the backlog as an afterthought. But it makes a big difference. What I'm really trying to talk about is the project teams. You know, they've got a list, and I think IT makes a lot of mistakes, often is allowing the marketing department or the sales department to come and slip in another project, and they don't say, okay, that's great, I will prioritize your stuff. You have the super critical September, but then something has to give. You can't take the same box and force more stuff into it. Something has to get done. IT is not a flexible resource where we can suddenly take on an extra 1,000 hours worth of projects. And I think that the business expects it, and IT too often allows it to happen. And I think it's because, again, they're not at the table. They're not having those business level conversations. Like, we estimated you allowed me to hire or fire because this year we didn't have that much. You can't suddenly stuff more stuff in the box.
No, but even when we do get to the table, there needs to be agreement when that happens that, okay, yes, we're going to take this work on, but because we take that work, it's going to displace this other project.
Right.
And is everyone at the table good with that?
Well, and that's why, I like the idea of having the project list. You start the year off, you have your dedicated backlog team, or teams that are they're allowed to sit in the corner and just do it, and have, the project, the expected resources to it, the priority that everybody agreed on, and use that as IT's document to talk to the business. This is my current priority list. This is what's on it. Let's all agree to it today. And then when stuff comes in, have the conversations, right? Marketing, you've got number 2 and 3, and sales, you've got number 4, and we want to put a new number 1 on the top. Are you guys okay sliding down on the list? And having that as a tool to start having those conversations, to keep referencing back to. Because just the hallway conversations or IT super busy isn't enough to have the right business conversations, to get them on board with, we can take it on, but something's got to come out of the box.
Yeah, and during the year, the business should be constantly reviewing what the priorities are and understand, because when you get to the end of the year, it can't be a surprise that, well, we slid these 3 extra things in and these 4 things got kicked out. That can't happen.
No, it's got to be everybody that had a vote at that list prioritization, which should be the business, not IT, has to, every time there's a change in that, everybody's got to agree to it and say, yes, we recognize this. We can't take on more fluff to it.
Continuous planning.
Continuous planning. That's a new one. I like that, though.
Yeah.
And it's not, the continuous planning isn't, a Harvey Ball list of project status. That's not it. That's a separate activity. It's about the things that are on the list. If you get kicked out of the box, you become red and you're not on the list anymore. You're not going to get done this year. New thing on the list, start with that.
Right.